On screen now is the equation for expected value. What you might think when you first look at this equation is it looks pretty complicated. You're probably thinking, what's that symbol there, right? But I'm going to break this equation down one step at a time to show you what each variable in this equation means and to show you how to use it to calculate if your bet would be profitable and worth placing. This video is going to look at expected value when you're looking at betting only. However, the term is used in poker and for general investing and trading. But like I said, this video is focusing on using this equation for calculating bets only. When we're talking about sports betting, expected value can be defined as your anticipated return on a bet. Another way to look at this is that the expected value of a bet is also the average profit you would make on that bet if you place that bet, say, an infinite number of times. The most important thing that you need to take from this video is that if the result of this equation, so your expected value, is positive, it means you'll win placing a bet long term. And that obviously means the bet is worth placing. And oppositely, if the result of this equation is negative, it means long term you will lose money placing a bet and should be avoided for obvious reasons. So before I go into showing you how to calculate the expected value, or EV, for a sports bet, firstly I'm going to explain this equation and the theory behind this equation. And the easiest way to do that is by using a coin. As you can see, in the bottom right hand corner of the video is a video of me flipping a coin. So I flipped a coin 1,000 times, and yes, I really did spend half my night flipping a coin just to make this video. So returning to the equation, firstly let's substitute some values in. E brackets x, this simply just means expected value. So let's put expected value in right here. This symbol here is a Greek letter. It's the Greek letter sigma. And when used in equations, the letter sigma basically means the sum of. So in this equation, sigma just means the sum of, and then what comes after sigma. And what comes after sigma? Well, there's two things. Firstly, x. When using the expected value equation to calculate sports bets, x is your return on the bet if your bet wins. When we're using this coin example, if you bet £100 that the coin lands on heads, you will win £100 if the coin lands on heads. So in this instance, x equals £100. Okay, back to the equation. So we've got x, £100, and then we've got p of x. P simply means probability. So all this term means is the probability of x. So the probability of winning our £100. With a coin, there's obviously only two outcomes, so the probability is 1 in 2 or 50%. But when we're using this equation, we work in decimals. Probability in decimals is from 0 to 1, with 0 being 0% and 1 being 100%. So therefore, 50% is right down in the middle at 0.5. If we return back to sigma, let me show you what this means. It simply means the sum of all the possible outcomes of the event. So this might be a little bit confusing to grasp, but what it basically means is this thing in the brackets here. For how many possible events there are, this is how many of these you have. So with a coin, there is 2 possible outcomes, therefore you'll have 2 of these terms. And like I said earlier, sigma means the sum. So it would be the sum of the 2 terms. In a football match, there's obviously 3 outcomes. Team A to win, Team B to win, or a draw. So there will be 3 of these terms. And to calculate the expected value, it would be the sum of the 3 terms. So what do I mean with these terms? So as we've done with the heads and tails example, I've done the first term for heads. So we win 100 and the probability of that happening is 0.5. But we need to complete the equation for the other possible outcome. So that is if the coin lands on tails. So if the coin lands on tails, x equals minus 100. Remember, x is what you win. So it lands on tails, we obviously lose all of our stakes, we win nothing, we lose the full stake, which is £100. And the probability that the coin lands on tails is again 50%. So we substitute the decimal version of 50% into the calculator, which is 0.5. So to calculate the expected value of a coin toss, we simply plug all of this data into the equation. So if the coin lands on heads, we win 100. It's 50% probability, and then obviously we've got this sigma thing, which means the sum of all outcomes, so we have the sum of the other outcome that's possible. So if it lands on tails, it's minus 100 times the probability, and if we plug all of this into a calculator, we get an expected value for this bet, £100 on heads, as being 0. So you could do this coin flip forever and ever, and you would not make money long term. I think most people intuitively could work that out for a coin toss, as it's fairly simple. You win or lose an equal amount of money, and the flip is equally likely. However, it gets a bit more confusing when you change the variables a bit, either add more outcomes like in a football match, or adjust the probabilities or your return on the bet in various ways. For example, if I said to you, let's do a coin toss and you'll win £120 if it lands on heads, or you'll lose £100 if it lands on tails. Most people understand intuitively that they should take that bet, that is good value. But the expected value calculation actually quantifies how good the value is. So as we know the equation now, we can quickly calculate the expected value of this £120 coin flip offer I have offered you. The coin still has a 50% chance of landing on each outcome, and you'll still lose £100 if the coin lands on tails. So the only thing we need to change is this value here. If the coin lands on heads, I'll pay you £120. And as you can see, the expected value calculates to be £10. So remember, expected value can also be looked at as the average result. So the average result of you taking this bet would be for you to win £10, which might be weird to understand at first because you can never win £10 on any coin flip. You either win 120 or lose 100. So that can be a little bit hard to wrap your head around at first. But to know if you did this 100 times, the average result of them 100 coin tosses would be plus £10. And what's cool about maths, utilising the law of large numbers here, the result does tend towards the expected value. As I said, I was tossing a coin 1,000 times, and here I'm showing you on screen the results of the coin toss. The coin almost landed an equal number of times between heads and tails. So if we take it when the coin is completely fair, in the example I portrayed at the start of the video, and if we plot a graph of expected value, which remember was 0, when using an even coin, you can see how the results actually pan out against the expected value. What's weird to look at here is it doesn't completely go in a straight line like the expected value is. There's variation within the results. This variation has a name, and the name of that is variance. That right there is a nice graph that represents variance. I'm not going to go into it too much in this video, but all you need to know is that the results may go up and down from the expected value, but long term they will tend towards the expected value, which is 0. That is why it's useful to plot the average result against the expected value, which is what I'm showing on the screen now, because this gives you a nicer graph. It shows you how the average result tends towards the expected value rather quickly, and doesn't deviate from the expected value too much after a few hundred flips. So interestingly, in the second example, which we calculated the expected value to be £10, what do you think the graph might look like now when we plot expected value versus the result of the 1,000 coin flips? This is the same set of coin flips, but you get a massive return on the investment of this bet. I'm also showing the same result on the average return against expected value to show you how close the results actually map onto the expected value. Like in the first example, there are upswings and downswings, and you should be very careful to not fall prey to the gambler's fallacy. With a coin flip, each flip is independent. And if you go on several losses in a row, that doesn't mean the next coin flip is more likely. Long term, over many flips, you will tend towards the expected value. But please take extreme caution that if there is 10 heads in a row, it does not mean a tails is any more likely in the next coin flip. So I hope I haven't been too confusing so far. This can be a little bit of a tricky concept to grasp at first. The important thing to remember is you can calculate expected value, and if the result of the calculation is positive, it means the bet is worth placing, as this long term will make you money. And oppositely, if the result of the calculation turns out to be negative, it means long term you will lose money placing that bet. Now we got the basics out of the way, I'm going to go into showing you this, using the actual betting odds to show you how to calculate the expected value and how best to look for opportunities when sports betting. Okay, I've got the match odds here for the Crystal Palace versus Brighton game tonight in the Premier League. As you can see, these are the odds for the game here. Brighton are just favourites to win this game here. So what I'm going to do now is work out the expected value of placing a £100 back bet on Brighton to win this game. What I've got here is a spreadsheet I've made that calculates expected value, and in particular calculates expected value for football matches. This is a spreadsheet I've made from the formula we discussed at the start of this video, and it's something that you can make yourself if you're familiar with Excel. Alternatively, I've put a copy of this spreadsheet on my Patreon, which you can find a link to in the description box below. So I'm going to walk you through this spreadsheet one by one. So right here I've got the stake selection, so we're going to say a £100 stake. You can just type whatever number in there and the spreadsheet updates automatically. So we're going to stick to a £100 stake, and you've got a drop down menu here for the selection for whether the bet is for the home team, away team, or draw. See, that's slightly affecting the expected value. We said we wanted to do this for Brighton to win, so we'll use the away team here. I've already inputted the odds from Betfair here for the game, and right here shows you what you'd win or what you'd lose if your bet came in or didn't come in. The spreadsheet here then converts the decimal odds into percentages, and I think percentages are a much more intuitive way of representing probability. It's much easier to say a 35% chance rather than a 2.84 decimal odds. The spreadsheet then also automatically calculates the book value here and shows you the expected value based off the odds alone. So if the market was completely efficient and the odds being offered to you were 100% accurate, the expected value here would be negative 51p. So that, remember, expected value is your average result. What that means is if you place this bet, say, 1,000,000 times theoretically, the average result of that bet being placed would be negative 51p. Obviously you could never lose 51p from placing this bet, as your only options are negative 100 or positive 184. However, placing this bet a large number of times, those negative 100s and positive 184s would average out to negative 51p. So what we can conclude based off the odds alone is that this would be a negative value bet to place. However, when you do football trading or football betting long enough, you start to see that markets can get mispriced, and these odds right here, which convert to these percentages, aren't actually the true probability of the outcome occurring. And this is what this section here at the bottom of the spreadsheet is. This is where you manually input what you think the true probability of the match is. And right here, the spreadsheet will automatically calculate the expected value of the bet. So this bottom section here is what we edit in order to calculate the expected value. We need to assign probabilities of the outcome of the game. As I said a minute or two ago, the markets can be mispriced, but they're never going to be enormously mispriced. See here, you've got the Brighton here, the away team, at 35.21 percentage points. They're never going to be like 60% chance of winning this game. You know, it's going to be a few percent either direction of this value. So let's give Brighton an extra, let's say 5%, for example, probability chance of winning this game. So we'll boost them up to 40.21%. You can see here the expected value of the bet jumps all the way up to £8.68. However, if you're observant enough, you'll notice that the total probability box turned red. And why is that? That's because the total probability, or the book value, however you want to look at that, would go well over 100%, 105.52%. This is because we've just added 5% to the away team. So really what we want to do is take 5% off the other outcomes, if that makes sense, to get the total probability around 100%. Obviously I say around 100%, the book value is never exactly 100%. As you can see, the actual book value is 100.51%. So this spreadsheet is automatically calculated to say when the value is around 100%, the total probability box will turn green. So because I've added 5% to Brighton, I need to take 5% elsewhere in the game, either from home team or the draw. So when you get really into football betting, you would want to accurately price each individual team in this game. However, if you're not sure where that extra 5% would go, I would just split it evenly between the other two outcomes. So that would be the home team and the draw. So I'm going to take 2.5% off the home team's probability here, get them down to 31.06. And take 2.5% off the draw here, so what that make that? 29.25. As you can see now, the total probability has turned green. We're around 100%. The expected value has gone all the way to 13.68, and that would be a more true reflection, so to speak, of the expected value of this bet. Okay, I'm going to show you another quick example here, and this is the Porto and Liverpool game. So I've already inputted the odds into the EV calculator. So Porto are the outsiders in this game, and we're going to say our bet is on Porto to win. So we've got selected to home team now. Still going to use £100 stakes. As you can see, they are currently priced at 5.2, which converts to a 19.23% chance of winning. Again, just using Betfair's odds. The expected value of placing this bet being negative 51p, it's an average result of negative 51p. But we're going to say, for example, in this game, that Porto, let's say we think Porto are 1% more likely to win than the odds suggest they are. So we're not saying much here, we're just saying 1%. So we're going to boost them up to 20.23%. And in this case, I'm just going to say Liverpool are 1% less likely to win and the draw stays the same. As you can see here, only giving 1% in your favour, we're talking an expected value of almost £5 here. On a £100 stake, we're talking that's 5%. See the uneven match there, 1% equates to 5%. See that again, if we add an extra percent here, and take an extra percent off Liverpool, We're going all the way to £10. So this is what's good here, is that the price of the market can be mispriced only slightly, and it can have a very positive effect for you as a value better. Obviously, if you choose the right games where you think there is a mismatch between the odds suggested and the true probability of the outcomes occurring. This obviously now leads us on to the most important question that people are probably thinking. How in the world can you predict how probable a team is to win? And obviously that is the £1 million question. And the unfortunate truth of the matter is there is no surefire way of 100% of the time predicting the exact probability of the market, because obviously that would be completely ridiculous, wouldn't it? But there are things you can look for, and one of those things is the stats of each of the two teams that are playing. If we go back to the Crystal Palace and Brighton game, there's an endless amount of stats out there now, freely available on the internet now, which is obviously very beneficial, from various different stats, just outright stats, XG stats, you know, the way in that the teams play, how they play and what opportunities they create. You know, the list is frankly endless. There's almost too much information out there to accurately select, but there's so many people betting on these games that don't take any of this into consideration. They're betting on feeling only, and them not performing this research is giving you the edge. If you find something in this stats in which the vast majority of people, never mind haven't even considered, don't even know about, then this is where you can start to form an edge. The one place where I can guarantee you'll find your edge is by exploiting human psychology. At the end of the day, a lot of people betting, they aren't taking this seriously. They're just betting on teams that they think they have a feeling of winning. If the media are liking a team at the minute, they'll just want to back that team. And if they see other people backing that team with no good reason why, they'll just want to back on that team as well. And you know, as I'm showing on screen here, there are so many cognitive biases that each and every one of us have. And yes, it's vitally important that we correct for our own biases, but also we want to be looking to exploit other people's biases. That's the real edge you're going to get when you're football betting and football trading and looking for value. I'm hoping the concept of expected value is getting more clear if you're not already familiar with it. I can't stress enough that this is quite a complicated thing to get your head around at first. When you see something weird like expected value of £5.26, which is something that you could never actually win from the bet placed, it can be a little bit confusing. But all you've got to remember is expected value is just synonymous with average result. So every time you see expected value, just think this would be the average result from placing the bet. It's not going to be this result every single time. It's not going to be the average result after 10 matches or 10 bets. It's going to be the average result after hundreds or if not thousands of bets. I touched on earlier in the video the concept of variance, and variance is something that can start to make you question expected value. I've seen this in the past where I know I've been doing something that has a positive expected value, but I'm going on a losing streak. I might lose 10 bets in a row. Right here, you just need to keep a calm, cool, collected head. Don't fall prey to the gambling fallacy and think, oh, it's going to turn in my favour any second now, I'm going to go on a big winning streak, and then decide that you want to increase your stakes. Don't do that, that's the quickest way to lose all your money. Stay calm and relaxed, and have faith in your systems if you have determined that it is positively expected value. I hope you use the calculation for expected value going forward. It's something I find very useful, and it's the only way to know if the bet is worth placing or not. This video might have been complicated in various parts, and if so, please drop any questions in the comments. I'll address it as soon as I can. Good luck placing your bets in the future, and thank you for watching this video.